Our purpose at WE is to change the dismal statistics of our people, particularly Māori and Pacifica people. We do this through helping small and medium-sized businesses to thrive. Our businesses need our help. So many have felt the pressures of lockdown and are facing challenges that they've never faced before, challenges that are impacting their livelihoods. That is why we're bringing you this series to share stories of the people behind our businesses, their successes, their failures, their challenges, and their triumphs.
If you are already in business, we hope you will be inspired. Perhaps someone will share one piece of gold that makes a difference in your business. If you've been thinking about starting a business, we hope that you will be motivated to start your own business venture.
We hope that by sharing these stories, we can help small businesses on the road to recovery all across New Zealand, Australia, and the Pacific.
So grab your cup of tea and whakarongo mai.
Kia ora te whānau, no mai, haere mai. Welcome to another series of Cup of Tea with We. Today we are joined with none other than Aaron from Toki Recruitment. So welcome, Aaron. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Thanks, Wendy, for having me.
I know people say that, but I sometimes wonder if they really mean it. All right, so let's start a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what Toki Recruitment is. What exactly do you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So Toki Recruitment's a labour hire company. We've been in business now for about 18 months. And we specifically supply to the civil infrastructure, construction industries. So helping young Māori and PI get into the workforce and connecting them with some good companies.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you guys have been going now for just over 12 months.
Yeah, not long. Started trading in May of last year. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride, ups and downs, but it's been good. Good experience.
Like all businesses, though, I guess there's always ups and downs, particularly in the first year, because you don't always know what you're getting yourself into, and there's just so much to do in the setting up, the processes, the systems, just learning, getting out there, creating a new market. What's been one of the most challenging parts of starting a new business?
Yeah, all of it. I think the most challenging part is believing in yourself. Along the journey, you're gonna have kind of doubts along the way, but if you've done your homework and you look at your experience, you lean on that, and that's what gets you through at the end of the day. It has been a really good ride so far.
So you talked a bit about experience, and I know you've got a lot of experience in the recruitment industry. So tell us what you were doing before you started Toki Recruitment.
I'm what they call a lifer in terms of recruitment. So I'm going on to 18, 19 years in the recruitment industry. And I started working with big global companies like Drake International and Kelly Services. So that's where I got all my training from. And, in terms of the labour hire side of things, predominantly in the temping space, probably with those companies, about 80 to 90% of the staff were Pacific Islanders and Māori. And that's where I started to perhaps get the feeling that, hey, I should perhaps do this myself and try and help our own people and help them into the workforce and help them progress. And yeah, it's been a great career. I've enjoyed all of it.
So what's the difference between your recruitment company and other recruitment companies like the Drakes out there?
Yeah, we're not a big company. we've obviously only just been in over a year, and there's only 3 of us internally that are working with people, but we're really experienced, and we know our people, and we're PI and Māori. And so when we go to our clients and we're introducing staff, not only do we, I guess, are we experiencing the fact that we know how to do all the screening and all the recruitment parts that come with it, but we understand the families that they come from, the struggles that they go through, and so that really helps when it comes to getting good staff, because we're able to get some good people and get them working, and we're able to look, and we colour a lot of people out as well. There's a lot of people that want to work but are still learning how to work.
So there's 3 of you in the organisation, and when we talk about like organisational structure or org charts, we say that there are 10 hats in an organisation. So 3 of you makes it easier to get across all the different hats. Yeah. But where were some of maybe the areas that you guys weren't as strong in, that maybe you had to learn along the way, or fill in the gaps? Like, are there any kind of pieces that you had to kind of put together over the last sort of 12 to 14, 16 odd months?
Yeah, well, we, I had, I guess, exposure to profit and loss in financials, but there was one side of the area of the business that we didn't know. And I guess it's like with most people when you start a business, you know operations and you probably know sales, and those 2 areas is what gets you started. But learning about the financials, the forecasting, the budgets, and how that all fits in together. And it's been great, because with WE, that's what we did. So you guys have been a great help in terms of helping me out with Xero, because I was not a fan at the beginning, but hey, we got there in the end. And it's also the things that you don't think about, like the compliance and governance of running a business, that you kind of take for granted. But we're slowly getting across all of that now, and feel like our company is becoming, I guess, a little bit more robust and deeper, if that makes sense.
So what have been some of like the little challenges that you guys have had to overcome in business over the last year or so?
Yeah, well, there's 3 of us, so we have differences in opinions, and because we all look after different areas, so I look after the financial side of things, and the other one director looks after operations, and one looks after sales. And in business, sometimes those departments or those areas don't really get along, or they see the business from a different point of view. So learning how to work cohesively has been a challenge, but a good challenge, because I think you also need that friction sometimes to grow. If everything's really nice and smooth, I think that you kind of just cruise along and you don't really get that good growth. So that's been one little thing for us. I think the other thing is learning to, we don't have an office, we work from home. So, learning to be innovative and work from home and not have staff around us. It's funny now because COVID, a lot of people are working from home, but when we started, it felt a little strange not having your colleagues around you and being able to bounce ideas off them. We're pretty much, we're used to it now, but you did feel a little lonely at the beginning. And then learning to work on a budget, obviously. We didn't have a lot of money at the beginning to start off with, but what little money we did have, we kind of stretched it out to keep the business growing and ticking along. So, yeah, those have been some good challenges.
Definitely some good challenges. So, I know a lot of people are now working from home, and some people are still struggling with what that looks like. And I know that with 3 directors, that can be even more challenging, as you've sort of mentioned. So what are some of the things that you guys have put into place to keep team morale up, or to keep the communication up between the directors, so that you're all sort of working on the same things and you're all going in the same sort of directions? Is there anything in particular that you guys have put into place?
We use technology to help us. So we used a software called Slack, which is basically a chat room. So you can, so we could organize different chat rooms, so like for operations or sales, finance or payroll. And we're on that quite often. So instead of sending a whole lot of emails together, we can have really short conversations that's to do with the businesses, you know, and we all got visibility of it rather than text messaging, which is more of a one-on-one situation. So that helped. We also, you know, we get together at least once a month, and we try to go out for dinner at least once a quarter. Obviously during lockdown is a bit difficult, but you know, when we're out and about, and I guess the other thing too is when you don't really see each other very well, you do tend to celebrate the wins too when you have them, because you know, when you do see each other, it's really, I guess, quite a joyous occasion when you've reached your target or you've brought on a big client and you know it's going to change things. So yeah, those are some of the things that we've kind of done to keep in touch anyway.
So in terms of technology, so you've talked about using Slack. Are there any other apps or any other, you've obviously talked about Xero2, but are there any other apps or program software out there that you guys also use?
Not really. I mean, that's the only one. I mean, the only other app that we have is more for our business side of things, dealing with our temporary staff, which is more of a time sheeting, clocking kind of app, which has been good. Yeah, so trying to go paperless has been really good. And one of the things that we kind of do is we want to try and challenge the norms. So before we try and I guess do what the status quo is doing out there, you know, like, oh well, this is what we should do. We should get an office because everyone else is getting an office. One of the questions we ask ourselves is, well, should we? You know, and I know when that came up, you know, when we thought about getting an office, we asked, well, should we get an office? Who's going to be in the office? And then we all looked at each other and we pretty much said, well, we'll probably only be there less than half the time. So it was like, okay, don't worry about getting an office space. And that's kind of what we do in with a lot of things, you know, is let's not do what we're going to do just because the rest of the market is doing it. Before we do it, let's ask ourselves that question, well, do we need to do it that way? Is there a better way to do it? And, you know, is there something with technology that can help us?
Yeah, I think that's such an important question to ask, because I think we can get a little bit stuck in what we think the outside world wants us to do, or, you know, what looks good. Yeah, but it's not necessarily mean that actually that's what's best for your business, or best for your team, or best for the finances, to be fair. Yeah,
well, from my point of view, that's right. But yeah, I mean, it came, same thing with company cars. You know, should we get company cars? You know, what is that? We're only small. You know, if we're going to go around to different work sites and different sites, do we want our competitors knowing that we're on site? We're just trying to get traction right now. So it was a little different because, you know, general marketing says, hey, you should put your name out there. But at the same time, we're like, well, we're really only small at the moment. We don't want our competitors knowing we're in their space, in their area, trying to get business. And then they squash us before we even get a chance.
It's your competitive, your what's that word? When you're like, you got the one up. Your competitive advantage. Yeah.
We're undercover.
have you guys grown? Because you've done pretty well in the first year, and I know that your second year you're looking at tripling what you've done in the first year. So what would you attribute your growth? Yeah, like what has been some of the big things that have helped you guys to grow so quickly?
I think it's been experience for us, you know, and you know that first year you you do a lot of work on your foundation of the business. So I think we're just organically growing through naturally building on that foundation. But yeah, those first 6 months were pretty tough. The wallet was pretty skinny, but it's been worthwhile. It's been worth the journey anyway.
And so let's talk a little bit about then, how has life changed since you've been in business, like going from working for somebody else to owning a company?
Yeah, you can't really go back, once you I mean, I enjoyed being an employee, but there's you know, pros and cons on both sides, I guess. When you're an employee, you've got some stability there. Well, what you think you might have stability, but you've got some stability there, and you know you're going to get your paycheck. When you're self-employed, you know, there's that first phase of, you know, are you going to be able to earn enough money? And that can be quite, you know, nerve-wracking in itself. But once you get going, I think it's quite enjoyable, and I don't know, I think your thinking changes in general, just about business, about life, about what else you can accomplish and what else is out there that you can do. Yeah, I think that's what's changed the most is my thinking, personally anyway.
And so for someone that might be looking at starting their own business, what sort of advice have you got for them?
Well, firstly, I would say don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. You know, you're your biggest fan, and so just really believe that you can. And two, get out into business as soon as you can, and make a few mistakes. And I think once you're an entrepreneur and once you're in business, you'll just want to keep going and getting better. And I think that's the other thing too, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to do this business and I'm going to make it big straight away. You know, be prepared to have some failures, because it's a learning journey. And, you know, you can have all the degrees, business degrees in the world, but when you get out there on your own and you start doing it, it's the doing is really the proof in the pudding. So, yeah, I would say don't have any fears. Just give it a crack.
Yeah, I liked that. Don't think you're just going to make it big straight away, because some do, and you hear about them, these businesses that become, you know, multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're raking in the money because Kylie Jenner or whatever is wearing your stuff or whatever. But that doesn't happen very often, and not in small business. And you've got to make some mistakes before you can actually, really make something of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is my third time at business. You know, and when I think about when I first tried to go out on my own, to where I am now, it's night and day in terms of how much knowledge I know, you know, how much I've grown and developed, and how much I know about business. And I don't think I could have, I've got hard of hearing, so I don't know if I could have learned that at school. you know, life sometimes is the best teacher. So getting out there and giving it a go and making a few mistakes. And now I will say I haven't lost money in all of my ventures, but I do know when to step out and go, okay, it's not kind of the right type of structure. It's not kind of working right. I need to, you know, probably jump out now and reset and then have a rethink, learn a little bit more, and then go back at it again. So I don't know. One of my personality traits is I'm pretty persistent. So.
Which is a good trait to have if you are in business, because you have to be persistent.
Yeah, definitely. You know, yeah. I don't really take no for an answer, or I always think, oh, there's another way. You know, one door might close, and I think, well, maybe the window's open.
I like that. I like that. Is there anything in particular that you have done this time around because of something that you've learnt from the last two times?
Planning. I took a good 6 months of actually sitting down and planning with the other directors what the business was going to look like. So, before the other times I was just excited to get out there and get into it. I did write a business plan the first time. But then I learned when I went and did your classes at WE, it could be a one page. And it really, when it's one page, I reckon it just makes, you're able to see what you want to do in your business. And so that's really helpful as well. Yeah, and what else? Yeah, probably just those things. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Wendy.
But pretty big things, because if I had $1 for every time I heard of someone who did a business plan that was like a squillion pages long that they did to start with and then never looked at it again. And I'm like, oh, where is your business plan now? Oh, in some folder somewhere on my computer somewhere. Like even just that can do so much for your business. So it's not a little thing, it's a pretty big thing. You're welcome.
While it works. So thank you.
That is cool. So, obviously we've been part of your journey, but is there anybody else that's been instrumental, or who are the key people that you think a business should have around you, that you have had around you to help in the success of your business so far?
Yep, good accountants, number one. And then, Napira, my darling, she's been my number one support and fan. I think it's really important that your home life is good, that you're able to look after your husband or your wife or spouse, and that they're happy, because when they're happy, then it makes business a lot easier. And then, my parents as well, they believe in me, so it's meant a lot that they're always there to back me. And Dad was actually the first person I knew that went into business, so he was a huge inspiration for me when I was younger. And so just, I guess, having seen him out and hustling and trying to make some coin, I think he looks at me and when he sees what I'm doing, I'm pretty sure he goes, well, he's the chip off the old block, or, he's influenced me in some way to do what I'm doing today.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I'm sure he'd be happy to hear that too.
Yeah, he's the man, but don't tell him he'll get a fat head.
We'll keep it just between you and I and anybody else that might watch this.
Love you, Dad.
So, okay, looking back on this business and your last two businesses, and even, I guess, the stuff that you've learned from your dad, from him being in business, is there anything in particular that you want to leave people with, that you've learned, that you'd like to share, that maybe they can learn from you in your journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, look, I would say anyone that's interested in going into business, first you got to believe in yourself, and that's probably number one. And then second, just don't give up. You know, it's business is one of those things where you might take 2 steps forward and then 5 steps backwards and then 6 steps forward and then 1 step backwards, and you sometimes feel like you're not getting anywhere, but it's amazing how much you learn over time. And then you look back and you think, wow, I've grown quite a bit. And then before you know it, you're in a multi-million-dollar business. And so don't get disheartened by the obstacles and the challenges that come your way. Actually embrace it, because it means that you're probably going in the right direction, doing the right things, and that once you get past those obstacles, then you're going to start, you'll see your business growing. So don't be scared and fearful of those things. That'll be my message to someone.
Yeah, it's such a good one. Jim Rohn says, don't wish that things were easier, wish that you were better. So you know, when a challenge comes up, just, yeah, like you said, you've just got to embrace it, because it is only going to make you better. And the better that you do in business, unfortunately, the more difficult the challenges are going to be, because the easier challenges, they don't really, you know, that you can overcome them. So it's only going to get harder, but it's only going to make things better for you in your business. And yeah, one day you might be a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, it's kind of funny too, because when I look at my first business, I was thinking quite small. Now, and then this business, it's bigger thinking, but now my mind has gone further on to thinking bigger than where Toki's at. So yeah, you do grow and develop, and it's quite a journey. Hard to explain. Just get out there and do it.
Just get into business and find out for yourself. Awesome. Look, thank you so much, Aaron, for our kōrero this evening. I appreciate having a cup of tea with you. Toki Recruitment has done great things, and I look forward to seeing all of the great things that you're going to do in the future.
You're welcome, Wendy. Happy anniversary to you and Ali, by the way.
Thank you. I know. Hard to believe we're still married and still in business. People warned us, don't go into business, but we're still here, so that's got to be a good thing.
Oh, you guys rock. All right.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Poor Marty. So everyone, tomorrow night we've got Nora Swan. She is from Nora Swan Limited, also the Pacific Fusion Fashion Show. She will be joining us tomorrow evening for a cup of tea. So I will see you there at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And Aaron, thank you once again for being with us this evening. Mā te wā whānau.